Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and those wonderful engineers over at METMO, or Metal in Motion, have revived another historic tool, or vintage tool, updating it with modern features, modern materials, but yet retaining the mechanical reason that the tool was so wonderful back when it was first made. Now this is the METMO Pocket Grip. It's a 5-in-1 clamping machine is what they call it. And it's loosely based, as far as I can tell, on the Stanley triplet wrench, which I believe the patent was applied for in 1913. The Stanley wrench never really appeared in catalogs I've read, but it was available. They're floating around. They're listed on eBay. But this is a modern expression with modern materials. Now, there are two versions of this that will be launched on Kickstarter, or are launched now on Kickstarter. And this is the aluminum version with the stainless steel jaws. Now, let's take a look at the 5 different pieces of this thing. First of all, this is pretty amazing. On this end, we have got an adaptive jaw that is a parallel wrench. That's what they call it, because as you close this, those jaws can be parallel, but you might also not want them parallel. Why on that? Why would you want them not parallel? Same reason here that you don't always want a pipe wrench parallel. Now, the Knipex Cobras are an angled jaw like a plier, but the plier wrench maintains parallel jaws. However, it's got this loose mechanism that allows you to, if you are grabbing something, say this nut or this bolt, you can loosen your grip and it will slide, and then you can grab, slide, grab. Now, it turns out in my playing around with this that you can set that up. If I just want to lock this in, I can go full parallel, just like that. And it's actually on there really solid. This screw mechanism here, the adjustment, is how this thing is held, and that's, you're at full 90 degrees. It's not going to loosen up easily. But if I go in at an angle, say like this, what I can do is allow the wrench to grab, if you look closely, especially on those corners, and then I can rotate this thing just like I would say a pliers wrench or something, but then I can just open it up a little, line these up, and squish it down, and then, finish my fastening. The standard adjustable wrench is excellent at maintaining parallel jaws, but it does not have that feature, which is why we often go to something like a plier wrench. So that's just one thing there, and of course this can be used as a clamp. It's a very solid clamp, and this adaptive jaw, or I guess maybe call it a frac, not quite a fractal yet, although I would love to see a pair of fractal pliers and maybe a fractal adjustable wrench. Can you imagine that? Another video for that. Okay, as we move on down, what do we have right in the center? Obviously, this could be a bit driver. In fact, it holds bits quite well. You can just drop one in there, loosen it a little bit, drop a bit in, cinch it down, and now I could drive that bit. It's in there rock solid. But especially, if you think about the leverage, having the fulcrum, having the effort on one end and the fulcrum on the other, put the load in the middle. That's often how nutcrackers are made because it's so strong. But they also say for a tap. So here I've got my 1/4-20. I use the 1/4-20 all the time because I'm always turning stuff into tripod possible materials, objects, etc. And that again is in there rock solid, and it's centered, so you should be able to drive the tap nice and straight versus way out on the end. However, you could again use this end point if you wanted on the plier jaws, which was where we're headed next, as a hex driver as well if you wanted. It's not really the best place for it, but you certainly could, because it'll obviously grab a hex nice and snug, but it's more designed for bolts. Now, if we take a look at that, you will max out with not a huge bolt there. If I go to a smaller bolt, you can see I can really grab this. In fact, if I drop it into those slots there, It's not going anywhere. That is very reminiscent of the Knipex Cobra, being able to grab inside that trapezoid. So that's absolutely ideal for that kind of work. But I can also use this to, behave much like a regular plier. And as you notice, get my finger out of there, as these close, they don't fully close, and the jaws, the way they line up instead of intersecting, that gives you a couple of good advantages when you're grabbing material. Keeps the points in line over each other. But there is also some smaller areas if you want to grab and hold things, but this works also as a vise on this end. So if I take just some washers here, I'll stack these and just show you how effective this vise is. If I slide these in here and make the jaws, of course, parallel, just like that, and cinch it down, those are in there very snug. That's just a stack of washers. Because of the alignment there, and this screw mechanism is so strong. So it's a neat tool. I applaud METMO for moving forward with the bringing back from extinction some of the historical designs. Just a neat idea. Again, in the EDC and pocket carry world, something like this that has the pliers, has the parallel wrench, has the clamp area, hex driving in 2 different spots, tap driving. This uses a 5mm hex if you want to run this any snugger or take it apart, clean it, whatever. But it's just a neat idea. The 1913 wrench had some flair to it, had some design elements. This is a little bit more angular, little more muscle. It's also about 1.5 inches shorter than the original, so it is more pocket friendly. You can see the thread here is pretty coarse, so it doesn't take too many spins of this ring in order to move it from max to minimum. And I found carrying it in my pocket, if I don't want that to stick out very far, just make, of course, the adjustment to whatever is to your liking. But it's just a very handy tool for a lot of different things. The METMO 5-in-1 clamping machine, or known as the pocket grip. So check that thing out if you're into EDC tools. And good on you, METMO. And with that, Doc out.